time now for Focus. In January this year, a 29-year-old man from India's Bihar state made headlines when he was abducted at gunpoint and forced to marry someone that he'd never met. A video of the wedding went viral, a clip in which Vinod is seen begging for his liberty. While many of us think of forced marriage as being just about women being kidnapped, male abductions are also commonplace. Our bureau in New Delhi has been to film this next report.
Despite being a punishable crime, forced marriages are on the rise in India. In 2016, for example, 34,000 people were kidnapped and forcefully married. Majority of them were women under 30 years of age, and almost half were minors. But sometimes men are victims too. In rural Bihar, Vinod Kumar has become a symbol of Pakarva Vivaha, a term used to describe a forced marriage where one of the partners has been abducted. When these images from his wedding were eventually broadcast on Indian television, they shocked the entire nation. Here, Vinod appears in tears, pleading with his captors to release him. It was only 6 months ago when this 29-year-old engineer was abducted by a friend who was looking for a groom for one of his sisters.
He asked me to meet him at the station. And when I got there, he and his family members forced me to go to their house. They hit me and threatened me at gunpoint to go through with the marriage. They told me, if you do not accept this, we will kill you.
After a month of confinement, his family managed to get him released. He is now trying to get the marriage annulled.
They put the video online and wanted it to go viral. They wanted people to know that I had a wife so that I could not get married again. I want this story to end, and I want to get back to my life without having to think about it any longer. I want the culprits to be arrested as soon as possible.
The accused are still absconding. Vinod and his family have received death threats, and they blame the police for not intervening on time. Vinod was the perfect mark. Engineers, doctors, and highly paid officials are often targeted in such kidnappings. In Bihar, which is one of the poorest states in India, the dowry paid by the bride's family to the groom can be quite high. An engineer like Vinod can fetch up to 30,000 euros, and a doctor can easily demand double that amount. This continues despite the practice of dowry being outlawed over half a century ago.
On the one hand, you have so much poverty in Bihar. And on the other hand, families continue to demand huge dowries, the largest in the country. So parents who are desperate to find a good match for their daughter will turn to violence without asking her opinion and arrange a kidnapping to avoid paying the dowry.
It is difficult to quantify the extent of this phenomenon in Bihar. In most cases, fearing violent repercussions, a couple forced into a marriage will accept their fate, just like Mamta and Vinod did. 18 years ago, they were strangers to each other. In this family album, there are no photos of their wedding, which was held secretly under the guise of a religious celebration.
People forced me to drink alcohol and then to follow them to a place which was decorated as if for a wedding. And in the end, they told me they were going to get me married. If I resisted, they would hit me. I was surrounded by members of our family.
Little by little, we accepted the situation. We had a baby. We prefer not to remember that day. Despite the hardships, we want to keep the good memories.
Today, Vinod and Mamta hope for a different future for their 2 children.
I do not want my children to suffer the same fate. I want them to have a happy marriage. What happened to us was a mistake. This is not the way things should have been. But in the villages, people have very traditional beliefs.
Such cases have revived the political will to see this practice disappear for good. Earlier this year, the Chief Minister of Bihar launched an anti-dowry campaign, a small step that could go a long way in changing attitudes in this part of the country.